Hello and welcome to FPL Malbo. My name is Andy. I'm going to be free hitting this week, so I thought I would do a free hit video, take you through my draft, and also take you through how I build a free draft team. If you like the video, then please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and also let me know in the comments what you think of my team. There's timestamps in there as well, so if you want to jump straight to see what my team looks like, then feel free to do so. But I'll stop waffling and let's jump straight into the draft. So this is my current FPL team. I've removed all of the players. I always do that, even if there's somebody who I think is pretty much 100% to be in my team. Going forward, who's already in there, I like to start off with a clean slate. And I don't build from goalkeeper down to strikers. I start off with my top players. So they're like my non-negotiables, I guess. If money is an issue within my team, I won't take those players out to try and find the money. They're the ones that are absolutely key. There's no way I'm doing a draft without them. And I think for me, a free hit this week is kind of essential. I only have 3 players, so I don't really have a choice. Like I decided a few weeks ago that the state of my team, I needed to free hit rather than try and use all of my transfers to get players in for this game week. I don't think there's a set number of players that you need to have to avoid the free hit this week. I think it depends on the quality of player. As you'll see when I start off with my kind of non-negotiables, I think if you have most of these in your team and you've only got 6 players, say, then you probably set up okay for this game week because there's pretty low upside for free hitting this week. They're not great fixtures to be targeting, really. It's the same with hits as well. Like I think if you're taking a hit to get in one of the kind of key players from this game week, it's probably worth it. But if you're free hitting just to get in a third Luton asset, say, then yeah, maybe it's not worth the hit. You're not going to see those points back just because they've got an extra game. But yeah, let's jump straight into my non-negotiable players. So I've got 5 in there: Pedro Porro, Bowen, Son, Watkins, and Tony. I'll start off with Son and Watkins first because I can group them together. I think that these are the 2 outstanding captaincy options. You've got Villa against a West Ham team who've been quite up and down this season. Defensively, they're a little bit weak. Villa have been one of the best teams in the division. I know they've just lost 4-0 to Spurs, but I don't think that changes anything significantly. Watkins is the top scoring player in FPL this season. It's not a bad fixture. Yeah, it has to be in there. Son, kind of the same. He's the fulcrum really for that Spurs side. I think that Fulham fixture is okay. It's not amazing. I wish that one of Villa Spurs were playing at home so that the triple up made him kind of more worth it, I guess, on the free hit. But there's no way I'm not having Son either. The captaincy is a bit of a toss up. I'll go through who I'm going to put it on at the end of the video. Next up, I've got Pedro Porro. I think Pedro Porro and Udogie are pretty interchangeable, but I think you have to have one of those in a free hit draft. Tottenham don't keep a ton of clean sheets, even though they kept one this week, but those fullbacks are so attacking. They essentially play with the back 2 most of the time. If a team plays 2 up against them, they will just go man for man and they'll still push Porro and Udogie really far forward, usually inverted. So they're pushing into the midfield. But you see them going beyond, I mean, they go beyond the striker at times. They're the ones making the runs into the box. There's big upside for both of those. I've had Pedro Porro most of the season. Now, whilst Maddison was out, he was scoring points for fun because he was on free kicks and corners. Maddison came back and they were alternating them a little bit. In the Villa game, Maddison actually took all set pieces, but Porro still created 2 big chances in that game, even though he didn't get an attacking return. And yeah, I just lean towards Porro. Money doesn't matter. It's nigh on impossible to spend all of your money with just those 8 teams available for this week. So yeah, I go for Porro. I think you have to have one of them. I don't think it makes a huge difference which. And then finally, Bowen and Tony. It's an easier fixture for Tony, so it's easier to justify. But Bowen is I think he's about fourth top scorer in the Premier League this season. I don't think it matters if he plays off the right or up front. I think he gets points from both positions. I don't think he's stronger in one or the other, especially. And yeah, Tony, easiest fixture really on paper, I would say, playing a Burnley team that have been very, very poor and also very, very open at the back this season. Tony on penalties, on free kicks, both of those, I think, are pretty essential for your teams. So, like I say, if you haven't got one of those 5 players in and you want to take a hit this week to bring them in and it avoids you using a free hit, 100% think that that's justifiable. Whereas I think some of the other options in my team, you have to weigh up a little bit more. So next up, I've put in 2 players, 2 more players from Aston Villa and 1 player from Tottenham. The 2 best teams of the game week. There's no way I think you want to go in to your free hit without being tripled up on both of those teams. For Villa, I've gone for Douglas Luiz and Ezri Konsa. Now, if any of the fullbacks were nailed for Villa, I would go for one of the fullbacks before going for Konsa because they are way more attacking. I don't really trust any of them. Moreno and Digne seem to rotate quite a lot of left back. Matty Cash is often dropped, so Konsa pushes out to right back. They've still got injuries at the back, but it looks like the player Pau Torres available. And Longley, so Konsa could push out to left back. I don't really want to take the risk on a free hit team, and yeah, Konsa's the one that I've gone with. I think he's the most nailed. And then in the midfield, Douglas Luiz is a funny one. I think you could easily go for Bailey instead. Bailey's returns have been a bit scattergun this season. They've kind of come in clutches. I think he'll start. I think he's in front of Diaby at the moment in that team, but he is often the one who's sacrificed. So, say 60 minutes, he will be the one who's taken off if they're kind of pushing for a goal. And Diaby will come on, or they'll change shape a little bit. I don't really want to take the risk on minutes, and I think Douglas Luiz being on penalties and free kicks, and also being quite creative in open play, nowhere near to the extent of a Bailey. But yeah, Douglas Luiz I think looks a little bit of a safer pick. So if you're really chasing rank or you feel like going a bit riskier, then yeah, Bailey's probably the way to go for that one. And then for my Tottenham pick, my third Tottenham pick, I've gone for Maddison. I don't think this is as cut and dry. I've seen a few other drafts. A lot of people seem to have Maddison in, but really, I think I've gone for Maddison because I'm not sure who is definitely going to play out of Johnson, Kulusevski, Timo Werner, possibility Richarlison might be back as well. Maddison will definitely play, and Postecoglou spoke in his press conference after Maddison scored last week about Maddison needing to be in the box more. So he's obviously being encouraged to do that. That's a positive. As I spoke about with Porro, is Maddison, who's on most free kicks and corners. That's a positive as well for him. So yeah, I don't think it's cut and dry. I think you could go for one of the other Tottenham attackers, particularly if you have a kind of inkling of which one's going to play. But I'll be going for Maddison. I had him early on in the season and he was great for me, and that does kind of bias me a little bit as well. So now that those players are filled in, I'm going to go through the rest of the team pretty much in order. Like I say, cost is usually an important thing at this point, but it just isn't in this particular week because the top teams are playing. So let's go on to the goalkeepers. I've gone for Flecken and Kaminski. Now, I don't think that I want to double up on any of the defences, apart from maybe the Brentford one, which is partly why I've gone for Flecken, because I think I wouldn't be against going into my starting 11 with Flecken and a Brentford defender. I think they've probably got maybe the best chance of a clean sheet, apart from maybe Tottenham, but I want Tottenham attackers, so I'm not going to waste 2 Tottenham spots on a defender. So yeah, Flecken, is he the best goalkeeper this week? Not 100% sure on that, but it's a defence I don't mind doubling up on. So that's part of the reason that I've gone with him. And Kraminski, I think quite a lot of people own him. I don't think he's a great pick, if I'm honest, but he does get save points. Luton don't really keep that many clean sheets. I don't feel that confident about him keeping one against Forest, even though it is at home and they are considerably better at home. So yeah, I've gone with those two, but I think Flecken is probably the one that I'd feel way more confident starting over Kaminsky. So to fill out the rest of the defence then, and it's the bit of the team that I'm feeling least confident about. I've gone with Alfie Doughty at left back. Sorry, the left back from Luton. In my defence, his ownership's going up, and I kind of get it. He's got quite a lot of assists this season. Like I said with Kaminsky, Luton don't keep clean sheets really. So I don't think he's a brilliant pick. He's overperformed his kind of expected assists as well this season, so I would expect a drop off, but he did get another one last week. I think because of the low options and because he's got good upside, I think he's worth having in the team. Plus, his ownership does kind of cover you a bit because most non-free hitters will, a lot of them will have him as well, at least in kind of engaged managers, top 100k, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not as confident that he's a great option moving forward, and that's why I've kind of put him in the filling in part of my team. Roslav, I would have gone for Regulon if he was fit, but there's kind of doubt over that. Yeah, there's issues with the Brentford defence. They've got a lot of injuries there at the moment, but they were considerably better against Arsenal. Roslov's played I think he came off early once in the last kind of 4 or 5 fixtures. He started all of them, played 90 minutes the rest of the time. He's quite attacking, usually as a wing back as opposed to a full back. So you've got potential of attacking returns against a sort of brittle Burnley defence. So I do quite like the look of him, but not super confident. I kind of wish that some of their better fullbacks, I guess, were options this week. And then the last one is Robinson. Like I said, I didn't feel super confident in this. Robinson's unlikely to start for me. I don't fancy a clean sheet at all against Fulham, but he's the most attacking, I would say, out of Fulham's fullbacks. He's got a few attacking returns already this season. Yeah, he's probably sitting on my bench. I had a look at players like Emerson from West Ham, also fairly attacking, but again, don't fancy a clean sheet at all there. Don't think it matters much. I think Brentford and then the two most attacking defenders, I guess, from Luton and Tottenham is the way that I'm probably going to go. Yeah, Conte's a bit of a toss-up as well because I could see a clean sheet in that game, but I don't think it's incredibly likely. And then the last two positions, you've got one midfielder, one attacker. I've gone for Gibbs White and Morris from Nottingham Forest and Luton, respectively. I think I would start. I mean, I'm going to be playing either a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. So one of those two players is going to be starting for me. It will probably be Morris just because of the home fixture. I think Gibbs White as well. You've got Alanga in that team that's an option. Hudson-Odoi, I think if you were confident he was going to start, he would be an option as well. I don't think there's much in it, but Gibbs White is on set pieces, and that's the reason that I've gone with him. Also, Alanga had a little hot streak, I guess, a good run of form, and that seems to have dropped off a little bit. So, yeah, Gibbs White I would probably go with, but he's probably going to be on my bench. And then Morris, I think Morris is a slightly better option than he would be if Adebayo was fit, because Morris tends to drop into that kind of 10 role, I guess, when Adebayo's fit, and he'll play up front with Adebayo being injured. And like I said earlier, when I was talking about the way Luton play, I think a lot of the time they're trying to whip crosses into the box. Morris is a threat from that. He's got a few goals this season. I don't think he's a bad option at all for this game week. Yeah, I think that last spot could be almost anybody, in all honesty. But Morris is almost certainly, I think, the way that I'm going to go. I think the other option is to go for a West Ham midfielder instead of Gibbs White. But it is hard to know which one to go for alongside Bowen. You've got Kudos, you've got Paquetá possibly. Ward-Prowse is on a lot of set pieces, so there's plus there for him as well. If I was going for a West Ham midfielder, I think I would probably go Paquetá, but there isn't much in it. And I think Morris, I fancy outscoring those West Ham midfielders, and that's why I have gone for him. So this is what my Finnish team would look like. Now, it's interesting thinking about it. I actually have gone for the double Brentford defence against Burnley. Roslav as well has a slight attacking potential, and I think I preferred that over Concert, even though I think the clean sheet likelihood is relatively even between those two. But if I'm going for that, I sort of think it might be worth me possibly looking at getting a second Villa midfielder in instead of playing Morris. That's something to weigh up for me. But Alfred Pedro Porro, they'll definitely be starting. I've given the captaincy to Son. Now, I would say the fixture is ever so slightly better for Tottenham. Not that there's much in it. It's two away fixtures against two middle of the table teams in West Ham and Fulham. But also, I think the 4-0 has influenced me slightly on that. Sort of makes me think that Tottenham may be coming into it slightly better form, but it may just be that that's a freak fixture and Villa go back to the way they've been playing. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards Son. And then I've Douglas Luiz, Madison, Bowen in the midfield, Morris, Watkins, Tony up front, with Watkins getting the vice captaincy. I think it's quite a strong team. I'm not loving free hitting this week. I don't like free hitting when there's a low upside because I don't think I'm going to jump in rank by doing it, but I think I would fall considerably in rank just going into it with a maximum of 4 players, 5, or I take a hit. Don't think it's worth it. So this is what I'm looking at. Let me know in the comments what you think of my team, any suggested changes. Like I say, I'm already looking at it and thinking that I could make a change, bring in another defender for Concert, and then bring in probably Bailey, I guess, into the midfield instead of Gibbs White. But I've got a few days to decide about that, and I will reveal what my team will be, my final team, I guess, in my team selection video, which will be out later in this week. So that's it for my free hit draft. Let me know in the comments what you think of my team and any kind of suggested changes, anyone that I may have ignored. I think there's a lot of options that I consider much of a muchness. So maybe there is one of those that I'm ignoring at the moment that you think is strong. Let me know. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you again on another video.